So first of all, on their point about how more money equals the more push that you put on a student to do well in their classroom. Like my partner has touched on in her last speech, the pro team is saying that the parents might not tell their kids to be the best, but as we've seen in the past with almost every family, no matter if they're poor, if they're rich, or even if they're middle class, parents will always want to push their children, as parents will always want their children to do better than them or what they have done in the past. And just because your parent didn't go to college, or didn't graduate high school, or even quit middle school possibly, that parent will always want their children to do better than them because they can maybe see the repercussions, or maybe see something that they wanted to do with their life but weren't able to. So, you always want your children to do better than you because you want them to have the life that maybe you weren't able to have, or just something that you can see in your student or your child that you know that they can do it, and you know that maybe you're not as financially well off as everyone else, but they have the heart to do it, and you want to push them because you want to see your child succeed in the real world. And so just to go over how race is still a huge issue in classrooms today, we can see it even from classrooms to workplaces to even in an auditorium where everyone pretty much flocks to their own race or minority, or even the majority. Because as the team over there, the pro team has said, you pretty much want to go with people that you have something in common with. And one of the biggest things that you can see today is minorities usually go together, majorities usually go together. Because when you see someone that maybe they're struggling too, you want to stick together. Because then you can at least have a pair of you and you can understand that maybe you can help each other. But in the case of Kenneth Quinn, once again, that didn't happen, and he decided to take the lower level class. So, thank you very much.
My partner and I agree that race is a problem. That's not what we're debating here today. It's what is the greatest problem in our achievement gap, socioeconomic class or racial segregation. But we focus mostly on socioeconomic achievement gaps before anything else because you can't end racial segregation when a socioeconomic segregation is only going to, create racial segregation. You can't have you can't have socioeconomic segregation without racial segregation. If we were just to pinpoint racial segregation, we would not be pinpointing it in the instances where my partner and I have been talking about it. And that's very important. If you were to focus solely on the socioeconomic gap, we would actually be solving for their, I'm going to call it their Quinn scenario. It's the story that they've been telling throughout this debate. If we solve socioeconomic segregation first, we will solve Quinn's uncomfortable feeling of racial segregation because those people who are socioeconomic class, who are of minorities, will have more of an opportunity to take those higher end classes and go to those better schools where Quinn is going right now. He wouldn't feel like the minority in the class because there would be many others that were in his same position. They would no longer be the minority, they would be half the class. So the teacher would have to focus on them, which would help end that racial segregation as well. Lower socioeconomic, I would like to clarify what I stated in my last speech about the parents pushing me more. What we're saying is that people of lower socioeconomic classes strive more for survival, and even though they want to push their child to do better, they cannot afford to push their child into those same higher level classes, whereas people with more money that aren't as impoverished can afford to push their child into a better situation, which is exactly why we need to focus more on the socioeconomic achievement gap before the racial segregation. Thank you.